What's up, everyone? It's almost 7:03. We got close.
No, it's 7:04.
Yeah, I know. It's
Oh,
it's
that's what
close
you
to
mean.
7:03. Yeah, we went a little over. We had some microphone difficulties right at the last second. Look, it's been a crazy day. I started the day by relocating a squirrel from our attic to a park 10 miles away. Then we
Squirrel Gate, hashtag Squirrel Gate.
the second squirrel, by the way. Two squirrels in like 4 days. Uh, so we've got a hole in our ceiling somewhere. Then we had the Acolyte trailer, did a reaction, did a breakdown. I just a little less than an hour ago got off an interview with John Jackson Miller about the Living Force, but we still wanted to just close our day out with a stream about the Acolyte because really into that trailer. Been excited for this project for over 3 years since it was announced. So it's nice to finally be able to talk about it.
Yeah, it does feel like it's been a very long time since we heard the first announcement, and then since we heard like some rumblings of what this was going to be about. It's been a long time coming. I wonder when they expected this project to come out versus when it's actually coming out.
Well, I mean, I think that they announced several things on that day. I think they were announcing it early. They probably had the pitch, and not all of those projects got made. So I'm glad this one did. I think that from the articles that have come out today, I haven't even read all of them because, like Hollywood Reporter and Collider and Vanity Fair, like they were ready with a media blitz today.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that Leslie Headland is saying about this project sounds like she's got a solid vision. She's also from like our generation of Star Wars fan. She grew up with the special editions. Is she younger than we are? Is this going to be the first? This might be the first project.
I don't think so. She might be the same age as us.
Now I have to look it up. This might be the first major thing where someone younger than we are is making it, and I'll have to adjust. Oh no,
Adjust.
she was born in 1980. Okay. So she didn't at least remember seeing them in the theaters. Okay, that makes sense. But she's talked about how she grew up on like the EU. She was big into the tabletop game. So I'm really interested to see her take on Star Wars. Someone a little closer to our age.
Yeah. I want to go ahead and bring this up from Power Rangers Explained. Thank you for our first super chat of the night. Who is a character you don't think will be in the Acolyte, but would be extra happy to see? And I already got my answer.
I have an answer too. It might be the same answer. You go ahead.
Kitty
Oh,
in the chat said Geode, still around, but just small. Fun fact, wouldn't he be big?
No, he'd be small.
Oh, I thought he aged the other way.
Well, he does. He gets smaller as he ages because he erodes.
Oh, I thought he. Never mind.
It's been a long day. It's been a long.
Big or small, I want to see Geode in something live action.
I think that there is a strong chance that we can at least point to a rock in the Acolyte and be like, there he is. I found him. We'll pretend that Geode is in there.
By the way, cheers, everybody. We have our Cerveza crystals.
Cerveza crystal. Not really, but just any beer that we have now, we have to call Cerveza crystal.
I did bring my Yoda cup, which has seen better days, but just in hopes that maybe we'll get a little Yoda action at some point in the show.
For my answer to that, I will go with any named Sith Lord that we already know. People have been throwing around the name Plagueis, Tenebris, Revan, Bane. I think there's a chance for any of them. Plagueis, I'm iffy on. I'll go into that in a second, but like Bane or Revan, maybe in a holocron or something.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
They're from 1,000 years plus prior. I guess 900 years for Bane, but they would be long gone. But if we got him in a holocron, that would be sick. Plagueis could be. I think that he would be I think his species live long enough that that's a possibility, but I'm not expecting it. Like, a lot of people seem to think it's a definite thing, but if there is a Sith Lord in this, I would assume whoever it is might die.
Well, I don't think we're gonna see any of the big named ones, like right off the bat or anything like that, and maybe not any named ones that we know until towards the end. Like, I think this could potentially set one up. I know a lot of people have mentioned Plagueis and Tenebris, but we talked
Right.
about this the other day that like those two species don't translate great to live action.
I
Like a
think
Bith Sith.
I agree with you. I don't think they would do a Bith Sith, as fun as that is to say. Uh, like, if they did Tenebris, I think they would change a lot about him. So maybe we would see Plagueis as master, but it could be someone new. I would be surprised if they pulled like a Cantina Band Sith into this. I think it works on the page more than it would on screen because, most of the casual audience would see that and just be like, "Oh, it's the Cantina Band." And
Mhm.
I just don't know that they would do that.
I don't know either. I think we'll see hints of Sith and maybe like an unknown one to start out. But who knows? Maybe if this thing goes into a season 2, we'll get some of the more well-known ones.
Yeah, so I mean, I do okay, do you think this is a Sith with the red lightsaber or just Darksider with a red blade?
Hard to say. I mean, I kind of hope it's a Sith or at least a Sith in training, so I guess that would mean Darksider.
Um, I think it's gonna be a Sith. I do think that if they're gonna tease the red blade, that's what most people think of when they see that. So I don't think they're gonna pull back and be like, just it was just a dark side user. It very well could be, but I think they're teasing us with a Sith.
Mhm. But do you think it'll be someone well-known already or a new character?
Now I wonder if it could be like Plagueis's apprentice or someone's apprentice that gets killed off, and that's the big question a lot of people have had online. How do we reconcile that with the Jedi thinking, being under the impression that the Sith have been extinct for 1,000 years? I think there's plenty of ways around that, but if there's a Sith, I don't think they will get away. I wonder if the Jedi will kill them and then go, well, job well done. The Sith are gone again. No one needs to know about this, and we'll just keep it hush.
Mhm. This is related
Oh,
to our
okay.
conversation. Super chat from Joshua Kosaba. Do you think we'll actually see a Sith, or is it a misdirection for a dark side user? It's really hard to say right now because all we've seen in the trailer is a red lightsaber in a hand. But I think we're both hoping for a Sith.
And the very first lines of the trailer, like, close your eyes can deceive you, don't trust them. Leslie Headland said today, whatever you think the Acolyte is, it's not that. This is just a drop in the bucket. So
Hmm.
there might be some misdirection here, but I am hopeful that the Jedi encounter a Sith because I think that's more interesting. I'm immediately thinking about them basically covering it up. Just that ties so well into phase 2 of the High Republic and everything they do with the nameless there. Just to be like,
Hmm.
let's not talk about this. Like,
Yeah, if it is a Sith, no one's going to be able to say the word out loud and admit that they're back.
right. Yeah, it's kind of like Voldemort. Just
Yeah.
being like, no, we're going to be in denial. He's not back. The Sith aren't back.
Hold on, wait. Is it Goblet of Fire? Where they're like,
No,
we're not going to talk about him.
you got close, but no.
Dang it. I'm not.
it's it's a running joke between me and Molly that she can't remember which Harry Potter movie is which, but it was Order of the Phoenix where the Ministry is like just pretending that Voldemort's not back. And I just love that idea that the Jedi, you know, in the prequels, they're nervous about telling the Senate that their powers in the Force have diminished. And in the High Republic, when the Nameless pop up, they're like, we don't want people to know that there's this Jedi killer weapon around, so let's just keep it quiet. So this seems like another moment where if they run into a Sith Apprentice and they take him out and they just go, I hope that was it. Hope there's not a rule of two.
I want to bring this super chat up too, just because it's got the word Sith in there and we're talking about them. From Trilgenth, do you think the Sith used the lost Jedi temples from Palpatine's compass to hide from the Jedi? The shot with May and the shadowy figure looks like Octo.
I did bring this up.
Saw a lot of people asking if that was Octo, and I would love it if it was, but it's again hard to tell.
Yeah, that wasn't my first thought, or else I would have talked about it in my trailer breakdown. I think it's probably along the lines of this planet, which also might be Octo, like just another part of it, or maybe it's just Jedi temples that haven't fully decayed there.
You know what that reminds me of? It's probably not, because it would have looked nicer back then, I think. But in Jedi Survivor, what's his name's temple that was like in ruins?
Which planet?
You know, the guy, the main bad guy in.
Oh, Dagon. Oh, yeah, Dagon's like estate.
Yeah.
His vacation home.
I don't think Dagon's going to be in this, but that just reminded me of that part of the game where you're like going through his ruins and stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think Dagon will be long gone at this point. This is 100 years before the prequels, and Dagon and the rest of the High Republic stories are like another 150 years before that. So, or maybe it's like 100 years. It's something around those lines. But I think all of the human characters from that part of the story will be gone. We've still got Vernestra. Fingers crossed Buryaga is still around. Maybe we'll see 2 Wookiee Jedi, but he's not the main one.
Let me bring it back to this question, though.
Right.
This compass, what's this from?
It's the thing that Luke found in one of Palpatine's observatories, and then that's how he found Octo.
Oh, from that other video game. That compass?
Yeah. Yeah, the Battlefront 2 compass. So yeah, maybe. I mean, Palpatine had it. Maybe it was passed down to him. So that'd be interesting if the Sith, like, it's a very Sith / Jedi thing to do, to use the locations of your enemies.
Who's the character that is like the smuggler artifact guy?
Oh, Kareem, Qirim, I think.
Do you have his picture up?
Kamir, but yes. Yeah, that's a good point. There he is.
I keep going back to his little bio card on StarWars.com, because that tells me that maybe there's going to be a Sith artifact in this that he will bring into play.
Right there with you. So his biography on the databank says, Kamir is a former smuggler who now makes his living as a trader, procuring unusual things and enjoying a life of leisure. So yeah, that doesn't really sound like he left the smuggling life behind to me. Like he is an obtainer of rare antiquities. Like, he's a black market dealer. So he might have some Sith artifacts. Yeah, I like that idea.
I'm into it. Let me go back up to the top here. We're getting a lot of good questions in, guys. We'll get to them shortly. But first up, we've got one from Laura. I'm hoping we'll get to see them visit active temples, maybe even visit Lothal.
Me too. I think that's a real possibility. The High Republic era is known for having a lot more outposts. Like, the Jedi Temple on Coruscant is still there, but the Jedi are much more spread across the galaxy. So let me see if I pulled this picture up.
What if we get to see the one from Young Jedi Adventures?
Yeah, maybe go to Tanu.
That would probably, I don't know that they're going to bring them into this story, because this feels like a very dark story and they are not about that life.
Well, they would be, not to be dark, but I think those characters would probably not be around anymore.
That's true, yeah.
Because except for maybe Nubs, maybe they live forever.
Nubs
Grizzled Nubs
for
in the
sure
Acolyte
lives forever. And he will have no part of this story.
So I'm kind of expecting that, each episode might go to a new and different planet. And there's a decent amount of Jedi here, including a Keldor down in the lower right.
Yeah, who do we... I've already seen people like looking up Plo Koon's Wikipedia page to see his age and like how old he could be and if he would be around. Do we think that's him?
This is such a convenient answer. Keldor had an average lifespan of 65 years, but those who were keenly attuned to the Force could live up to 250.
Oh, how convenient for Star Wars.
I think Plo Koon, it even says, was older, so could be.
He's just a young whippersnapper in that picture.
But
very attuned to the Force.
But this picture makes me wonder if that's like the team that goes from planet to planet, or if they go to this planet and those are the people at the Jedi Outpost there.
Yeah, I was trying to pull that up because are they looking at something in that valley? All I can see is like some wooden posts with stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's like markers for territory or something.
Yeah, because like right after this shot, I think is the shot of the Wookiee Jedi.
Yes.
So maybe they're going to find him and be like, "Hey, we need your assistance with something."
Yeah, if there's a Jedi outpost on that planet, and he's like, "No, I live a solitary life now."
Yeah,
because
he's like, "I'm not about y'all. I want to live by myself in the woods. Thank you."
According to Kelnaka's bio, it says Kelnaka, a Wookiee Jedi, is a loner who lives a solitary life. Okay,
he's like Harry and the Hendersons.
A Jedi chased him off into the woods.
Yeah. Oh,
so sad. I like the way you pointed this out. It looks like his head is shaved.
Yeah, it looks like he's got like shorter hair just around the top of his head, but then part of it he's got pulled up into like that high pony. It looks great.
That's a fun detail.
It's kind of shaggy, but he doesn't want it in his face. We all know what that's like.
But I think that there is a high chance that we will see more Jedi outposts than just the one on Coruscant.
Yeah, I hope so. Elliot Troy, asks, percentage we see a light whip in this show?
I am gonna... part of me was thinking it would happen in this trailer, just because, the Force Awakens trailer ended or included Kylo Ren's crossguard. So I was kind of thinking, hey, what's something new and wild that they could show people for this? And the light whip made sense, but Leslie Headland has in interviews already talked about the light whip and that it is Vernestra's weapon. So it's in the context of the book, but I think we're going to see it.
I think so too, because like she does say in interviews, and it might be in her card too, that like one of the shots there, we see Vernestra, and then we see her in a different shot. Maybe not in the trailer. Maybe it was the image that they released. But I feel like some of the shots we see of Vernestra are when she is like way past her fighting days. And then maybe we see her in a different shot in her different outfit where she's actually got her light whip and she uses it. Because it seems to be a lot of back and forth time-wise. A lot of these shots look like the same characters with like different hair, maybe younger to slightly older time jumps. So,
and something that Headland said in one of her interviews says she's about Vernestra. she's very rarely in the mission robes adventuring. So I could see her, she might be part of the Jedi Council at this time. I could see her not going out at first, but like showing up to kick some ass in later episodes or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll see it.
I'm going to go like 90% we're seeing that light whip.
Josh Mansfield, thank you for the super chat. So it says, love you guys. Oh, full question in live chat.
I'm looking for it right now. So just keep going and I'll try to find it.
All right. Dr. Puffington, thanks for the super chat. Celebrating the trailer by forcing my coworkers to watch the trailer. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. Hey, coworker, do you like Star Wars? No, I don't care. Watch this thing.
Watch this.
Get excited about it. I would do that too, but my only coworker is Alex.
Yeah, you didn't have to force me to do anything.
I'll show it to Hilo and Pippin, see what they think.
Still not seeing Josh's question. Josh, if you pop it in chat again, I'm keeping an eye out.
Ooh, this is a good one. 80s kid from the 90s. What's the best comic you recommend for High Republic?
I would recommend the comic called High Republic, which that keeps it easy. But Cavan Scott is the writer for all three of them. I was just going to chain this out into what should you read to get ready for this show. Leslie Headland has said you don't have to read anything. There's no required reading. If you want for Nestra's story, she is in some of the High Republic comics in Phase 1, but I would focus on the middle grade books that she's in, which is A Test of Courage. She's not an escape. No, she is an Escape from Valo. And I'm forgetting the name of Mission to Disaster. And then she was most recently in Defy the Storm, which came out on March 5th. So other than that, just pick and choose. I love just about everything the High Republic books and comics have done. It'll give you a lot of context for this era, more politically, state of mind of the Jedi and stuff. But it sounds like you don't have to read them to understand what's happening.
Which adult novel is it that she's in and she gets that, like, those coordinates from?
Out of the Shadows.
Is it that one? Because I don't think I read that one.
I'm pretty sure that's the one where she, that was
maybe
the second middle grade book
part, or maybe I just read up to that part.
I mean, that's the end of the book.
Maybe I did read it.
I think you did.
Test of Courage is a really fun, quick read. That's her very first appearance. And even though it is a middle grade book, I would always recommend reading that one first.
Also, I'm brain farting all over the place. I did not mean Escape from Valo. I meant Race to Crash Point Tower, which takes place on Valo.
Okay, yeah.
My brain has been all over the place all day.
It's been a very long day, and we've been doing nothing but talking about Acolyte and High Republic stuff.
It was funny to bounce from like Acolyte all day to go and talk to John Jackson Miller, who was delightful. He was wonderful to talk to, but then to come back here, I'm like feeling whiplash.
Madman's Knowledge, thanks for the super chat. Do you think the season could end with the main character becoming a new Sith apprentice to a hidden master, maybe becoming the canon Tenebrous?
So let's say my theory is correct. They run into the current Sith apprentice, they fight and kill him, but maybe one of the Jedi, one of our main characters, could go and find the Sith master and keep it going. That would be a dark ending, but
yeah, It's really hard to tell I mean, Amanda's character seems like my best guess to be the one that is like not a Sith yet, but could be.
I really think they're setting her up to look worse than she probably is.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Like, I wonder. So I'm going off of like the different synopses they've released, and the current one says that a respected Jedi Master, which would be Sol, has to team up with a dangerous warrior from his past, which would be May. But previous synopses said that a Jedi Master has to team up with a former Padawan. So I think May is his former Padawan, and maybe she knows that someone is hunting Jedi. The trailer makes it look like it's her, but maybe she's hunting the Jedi Hunter or something. Like, I think there's going to be a bunch of layers to this story that we're going to unfold over the course of it, which I'm really excited about. Just
Yeah.
this mystery whodunit kind of thing. That's exciting.
I do think there's going to be like a lot of twists and turns in this, which is exciting.
So I think we're kind of being led to believe that May would be the one that could become a Sith, and maybe she's on that path at the start. But my eyes are on Sol. Something about him, and his description says, Master Sol is a wise, highly respected, powerful Jedi Master, strong in the ways of the Force, who is going through emotional conflict. And I feel like there's something about him, and I'm probably just reading into nothing, but I'm like, he probably has a dark past that he's trying to hide. Like, there's a reason May is his former Padawan, and maybe he becomes a Sith at the end.
What about not her? I can't see these, they're so small.
Who are you looking for?
The rule follower. Him? Yeah.
Oh, Yardo?
What if there's a secret Yord. What if there's a secret hint in his bio that is hinting that he eventually follows the rule of 2 because he's so into rules.
Well, the rule of 2 is already a thing. Bane established that, but that would be funny if he's like, a rule, you say?
Well, not that he starts the idea. I mean, like that he finds out about it and was like, that sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, I'm just excited about any rules. I mean, maybe. So his bio says, Yord, a Jedi Knight and guardian from the Jedi Temple, is an overachiever and a rule follower. His need to be a by-the-book Jedi can cloud his mind. I'm all about him already.
Can you imagine if you're trying to be so by-the-book a Jedi that you become a Sith?
I mean, I kind of love that story.
Yeah.
I think there's a really interesting thing there. And so this is kind of fun that we're looking at already potential characters and their path to darkness. And yeah, maybe it's like a whodunit in the sense that one of our main cast is the Jedi killer, and we're gonna have to suss out who. And maybe they're gonna get like picked off one by one.
John said, "Isn't that Anakin?" I mean, he wasn't trying to be a by the book Jedi by any means. He was always going off doing his own thing.
Yeah, he was. I would not say he was a by the book rule following Jedi. His story was more about bending rules to preserve his attachments, whereas Yord could be so strict that he goes dark. But yeah, now I'm like, I kind of hope each and every one of these characters is set up as a suspect.
It is starting to feel more and more like a Knives Out kind of deal, which makes me love it even more.
And she spoke.
Leslie Headland spoke so highly of Rian Johnson in her Hollywood Reporter interview. If you haven't read that, check it out. It's really good.
It reminds me of And Then There Were None, the Agatha Christie novel, where everyone is a suspect, but they're getting picked off one every chapter or so. So every episode, one suspect could get the axe until there's just like 2 left.
Yeah. I was also just thinking about, because I brought up a test of courage, being Bernestra's first appearance. She has some great stuff in that book as her first book in the High Republic, where I forget the other kid's name. He like taps into the dark side a little bit.
Emery, yeah.
Yeah, that's her Padawan, right?
Mm-hmm.
He taps in the dark side a little bit, and spoilers for the book, he's okay by the end. Like, he makes it out of it, and she kind of talks him through that. So I wonder, like, I bet she would have like a really good monologue about the dark side and like just having thoughts that dwell in the dark side and like what that can mean, but also like how you can balance that out, and it doesn't have to mean the end of being a Jedi.
Yeah. Using the dark side is not like the end for you. It's like everyone has bad days, and you just try to do better the next day.
Yeah.
But
Good stuff.
I'm excited for these ideas.
Alphonse Collado, thank you for the super chat. Hi, Alex and Molly. Very excited for the Acolyte. How is Vernestra still alive? How old is she? Is the show closer to the books than we thought?
I think I recently read something similar as what I just read about Plo Koon and Keldor, that Mary Allens
can just... I feel like any alien species in Star Wars can live a lot longer than Wikipedia says they can, because Star Wars is an ever-growing story, and they're allowed to make adjustments like that if they need to.
It's the same thing. Those who were keenly attuned to the Force could live up to 200. So, I
what
think
if Yoda's species hardly ever lives to be that old, and Yoda
like
was just
that down with the Force?
Yeah, Yoda was just real special.
Yeah, and also I should point out that it's not just Force sensitive Mary Allens, because General Vice is in Phase 2 and Phase 3, so she's very old. So I think they're probably just changing Mary Allens to have longer lifespans. But
which I think will continue to happen in Star Wars with various alien species, and that's okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I don't think the show is really anywhere near the books.
I'm trying to find. I think they have nailed down that it's about 100 years before the Phantom Menace, placing it about 100 years after the books. After Phase 1 and 3, anyway. Yeah.
Calm Like a Bomb says, do we know if this is planned for just one season? Don't know yet. I know Leslie Headland already hinted in an interview about something she would like to do if there's a season 2. So it sounds like she would want to keep going. I have a feeling this is going to end on a cliffhanger or something.
I kind of hope not, but I get it. I think that they somewhere, again, I haven't read the Vanity Fair, Hollywood Reporter, or Collider articles today, but I saw people summarizing them, and somewhere she said that the show was pitched for multiple seasons. So I think that, as long as it does well, it gets a green light, and probably in another 2 years, we'll see a second season. So I don't think it's completely planned for just one, but my hope is that it kind of has a decent enough resolution so that if Disney Plus doesn't keep it going, because all the streaming stuff right now is so in flux that I'm like, I hope it ends satisfyingly enough.
See, I have a feeling it's going to be a
probably not.
I don't know. We'll see. Ken Plume swinging by to shout out used to, and hashtag DexWatch. Is Dexter Jetster going to make an appearance?
I mean, he's in phases 2 and 3 of the High Republic, so he's alive.
Maybe maybe he brings lunch by one day at the temple and for the kids or something.
Yeah, we got to see what odd job he has now. He's been a hyperspace prospector. He's been a pirate. He's been a diner owner. There's got to be something else in between.
So we know Dexter Jetster is around in this time period.
Yeah. Could
Then
be. Could be.
high chance, I say. Or I hope. Another
okay.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to read that.
Okay. Myriad Media Musings. Any guesses on High Republic planets we could visit?
Hold on. I do want to say, though, that Dexter would really fit in the whole whodunit thing, just because, Obi-Wan went to visit him when he was unraveling a mystery. So
that was
you know what?
the most detective we got in the prequels, was that scene where Obi-Wan goes to talk to Dex about the Camino saber dart.
So I do hope the diner is open and he gets a visit from someone.
He's just the guy to go to. He's got all the inside juicy info.
But yeah, guesses on High Republic planets we could visit. From what we've seen, it mostly looks like new stuff. So outside of Coruscant, which doesn't really count, I'm not expecting that we're going to go to like Elfrona or Hetzal or anything like that.
I would need to look at a list of planets from the High Republic so far, but it'd be cool if we got to see Jeddah in its prime, maybe with some of those big statues still up.
No.
The last one. Right, that happened, and never mind. They could still have statues up somewhere.
They like have it kind of propped up on a 2x4. Like, we tried.
I don't know. What was that picture that you brought up earlier of the ship going to the ruins? This one. I mean, it's hard to say because we don't really get visuals for a lot of the locations that they go to in all the books, but
yeah, I don't know.
Any guesses?
Not really.
We saw that place. We saw Snowy Planet. We saw like the foresty place where the Wookiee was living.
I'm gonna expect mostly new planets, just like we're getting mostly new characters, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. But there's always a chance for one to get named, and we can, all the High Republic people can be like, hey.
Do the point. Josh Mansfield, thanks for this question. The Acolyte is a dark side disciple, but not an apprentice. That's true. I wonder if the Acolyte, maybe someone is trying out for like an apprentice role. So I'm just going to keep with my theory that they do run into the current Sith Apprentice. Maybe it's kind of like Pong Krell in the Clone Wars, where he does everything on Umbara kind of as an audition to get Darth Sidious's attention and be like, pick me. I could be a good Sith Apprentice.
pick me, girl.
Pong Krell is a pick me girl.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So maybe
right up there with Sarah Ann. Sorry.
Maybe whoever the Jedi murderer is could be trying to get the attention of the Sith. So maybe
look what I can do.
Yeah, their status is Acolyte right now, but they're hoping to be promoted to apprentice.
I really think whoever's doing it is like trying to send a very specific message to the Jedi and maybe the Sith. But I wonder if they have a very specific bone to pick with the Jedi.
Yeah. Seeing still a lot of people guessing that Palpatine could be in it. I really don't think so.
How old would he be?
Yeah, he would be
like a teenager.
It's 100 years before.
Baby?
Yeah, I don't think he's even born yet.
A tiny baby with big sleeves?
He still has the big poofy shoulders.
But he's not going to be in it. Well, I think a lot of people are still trying to wrap their heads around the time period of this. It
Yeah.
is 100 years before the events of the Phantom Menace.
Which is why I'm so glad that they started marketing more than 2 months before this series begins. Like, let's really, at some point there needs to be text on screen to be like 100 years before the Phantom Menace, and then after that it can be like 40 years before Palpatine was born.
Palpatine, listen, Palpatine had lived long enough, well past his prime, well into the sequel trilogy, where we did or didn't want him. Do we need him to go backwards now? No,
Yeah.
we do not.
He is not born yet, and he's definitely not running around killing Jedi with a lightsaber.
Nah.
As terrifying as that would be. Little baby Palps. Red Tornado, thanks for the super chat. Always love it when there's yellow sabers in Star Wars. Me too. I was surprised we didn't see any purple in that group.
I think maybe they're saving that for Vernestra's big light whip.
Yeah, it could be.
Like appearance.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, and they probably don't want to take too much specialness away from Sam Jackson's lightsaber, since he called dibs on that.
Fair enough. Yeah. Matthew Fab, thanks for the next super chat. Do you get the sense whether or not this show will be kid friendly? My 9-year-old daughter has watched all the Star Wars shows outside of Andor. Well, have they announced what it's going to be rated? I assume it's, what's that new one?
Oh, there's a new one?
I thought they made a new one for Disney Plus.
I don't know, but I'm just based off of the first poster. I'm like, that's pretty intense for just a poster for Star Wars. So
yeah,
and they've already compared it to Andor on some levels. So I don't think it's going to be like graphic violence or anything, but I just think it's going to be darker in tone. 9-year-old daughter. I'm a bad judge of, how scared children can get.
Yeah, I don't because there's blood on the poster does not necessarily mean every episode is going to have a very bloody scenario. So maybe just I think you'd be okay to watch the first episode and then judge it from there. I think you'd be fine.
It's just I was talking with our friend who has I forget how old she is, like a 7-year-old stepdaughter, and he was getting her advice on posters to buy for his office, and he showed her a poster of the Witch King of Angmar, and she said, "No, it's too scary. It has too many spikes on it." So like I would never have guessed that that's why
that is true.
It got the too scary label.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of kids are different when it comes to what scares them and what they're into. So I can't say for sure. I'm always gonna err on the side of, yeah, they'll be fine.
I think where'd it go? Rogue One level probably sounds about right. Like,
yeah, probably a lot of people getting killed, but like no egregious, super bloody slaughterings.
yeah. So yeah,
but
and that's just a guess.
That's just like, yeah, basically Star Wars. I don't think they're ready to go into super gory kills yet, or if they ever will be. William Crisp says, I think they'll just think they're an imposter.
The Sith or whoever they run into. Yeah, could be. Like,
yeah, they'll be like, no way that the Sith are back. This is just a wannabe Darksider. And they'll keep saying that until the Phantom Menace happens.
I think that whatever happens, if they run into a Sith, they will convince themselves that, no, that wasn't a Sith. That was someone else. We definitely destroyed all the Sith, and there's no way they could ever come back. So, yeah. I think that could be correct. Francisco Gios, thank you for the next question. Do you think the Sith in the Acolyte is a connection to Darth Xana? Nope. I think Xana, she was way, way earlier than all of this. She was Bane's apprentice, so that would have been like 900 years before.
And
So
she's just a human, right?
yeah, but humans who are keenly in tune with the Force.
I could see like maybe 100 years. How old was Aragorn?
Yeah, well, he was one of the Dunedain, Molly.
Attuned
He
to the
had the
Force,
blood of Numenor
Dunedain,
flowing through his veins.
Same difference. I'm just saying, like 100, 150 is pushing it.
I think Aragorn lived
humans.
like 250. He lived a
Really?
good long while.
They
When he
needed
died,
him.
yeah.
They needed him. Sorry.
They were like, you can't die. He's like, please let me go.
Please. I'm so old.
But no, I think that a lot of the names I keep seeing thrown around, it's like it's way too late for them, or it's way too early. Like yeah, like Revan was from 4,000 years ago.
A long time ago.
So
he been dead.
Darth Bane and Darth Xana are the last, and Xana is even like in this weird canon gray area. Darth Bane, I would say, is the last Sith that we know their name, and he died 1,000 years before the Phantom Menace. So whoever is in charge now could be Tenebris, could be Plagueis, but I think they're probably going to tell a new story so that they don't like have to stick to things. That's my guess. I'm going to guess that whoever we meet is like a generation or two before Plagueis.
Yeah, I like the idea of it being someone new that's kind of in between Darth Bane and Darth Tenebris and Plagueis. But again, that could lead into one of those like Plagueis in season 2. I think it would be cool if Plagueis showed up. But again, what's he gonna look like?
Well, I would be. Look, whoever did the art for the Darth Plagueis novel, the cover, they crushed it. They made a very menacing, scary-looking Mune. But if Darth Plagueis shows up looking like Sand Hill from Attack of the Clones, like just make him spookier. That's all.
All I can think of are the aliens from Crystal Skull when they like make that real like angry face, that he's gonna look something like that and it'll be terrible.
But I think that they would probably just. I think Leslie Headland has a very specific story she wants to tell, so she might not mess with the pre-existing Sith. But she did talk about in her interviews, like she grew up on the EU. She knows legends, so she said there are connections. I might be way off base.
We shall see. ME, thanks for the next super chat. Is this the... Oh boy.
I think I heard Force Center being taught how to say this on their live stream earlier.
Wuxia Kung Fu version of Star Wars? I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say that first part.
I'm just guessing. But I mean, it kind of seems like it. Just the Force... Whatever Ezra was doing in Ahsoka, using the Force. Oh, it's Wuxia.
Wuxia.
I think that, yeah, it's just like a Force martial art, which I'm sure they'll name at some point in a reference book.
Yeah. Oh, man. Seeing that little bit of Carrie-Anne Moss fighting in that saloon or whatever that was so cool. Because she looked cool as a cucumber and was just like, nope, can't touch me. You know, like, who are you even? Get out of here.
That and the fight between May and Soul in the street, that looked really cool. Like it's just kicking and flipping, but they're Jedi, so everything is higher and bigger.
Did you see? I think it was on Disney Plus. There was a new image of Carrie-Anne Moss with her lightsaber out.
No.
She has a green lightsaber, and she had it ignited, like, on the other side of Amanda's character.
Looking.
It was like someone took a screenshot of, like, Acolyte is already listed on Disney Plus.
Right.
I'll see if I can bring it up because it might have been on mobile.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Let me see if I can pull it out here.
Bring that up because I was like, ooh.
That's cool.
Just fun to see her lightsaber ignited and to know that she ignites it at some point. They're definitely not shying away from lightsabers in this.
I do love that final shot. How do I?
It does feel very like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon meets Matrix, and so Carrie-Anne Moss is a no-brainer for that kind of character.
Ooh.
Do you want me to do it?
Well, I found it.
Okay.
It's just to pull it off of the Disney Plus website. You have to do some very roundabout things, but I found it. And I'm uploading it. Where'd it go? Oh, it's a web.p or whatever.
Here, I'll get it.
Okay.
I have that extension that I can get stuff off Disney Plus.
Oh. What's that do?
I've told you about it before.
Like images?
I can take screenshots.
Well, I'll go to Tully Quinn's question. Thank you. Are these witches Night Sisters or are they new? Sounds like they're new.
More witches.
So we're talking about this character whose name is Mother Anasia or Anasia. I have no idea how to say that. Anisea. She is the leader of a coven of witches who value their independence and preservation of their beliefs and powers. So I think that this seems like a new faction, but unclear right now.
I'm just excited for more witches. I don't think they're Night Sisters. I think they're more of a religion.
I mean, I think they use magic.
Okay, a magic religion. That's what witches are. All right, I found it.
Okay.
There it is.
Cool.
So, I mean, nothing super exciting, but it was just cool to see an image of her with her lightsaber out. Why would you bring a knife to a lightsaber fight?
It's interesting if she is a former Padawan, and I wonder what happened to her lightsaber. And she may have a connection with Carrie-Anne Moss's character, whose name is Indara.
Maybe a couple people, because of the poster, were saying, what if we see someone bleed a lightsaber in live action? And I think that's kind of too on the nose for that specific poster and what it means. I don't think that's what it means, but maybe she is still working on bleeding her crystal and that's why she's not using it or something like that. Or maybe she has to get a new one.
Maybe. Jalil, thank you for the next super chat. What are your guys' pitch for a Star Wars Episode 10? Have you seen the 2019 Joker film? Just curious. Much love. Yeah, seen the Joker film. I don't really have a pitch for Episode 10. I don't want Star Wars Episode 10. Like, I don't want the Skywalker saga to necessarily continue. So whatever pitch I had would be like a new Episode 1.
Yeah. I mean, I think are we talking about the Rey movie?
I don't know. See, my pitch for something new would be more along this, like the Acolyte. Let's go. I'm more excited for the Acolyte, James Mangold's film. I'm excited about going into the past.
I am too. I'm excited that we're getting a Rey movie. I am terrible at pitching ideas. I just want her to be happy, and I want to see her training or fighting someone with her new lightsaber. I feel like they teased us. That was like the biggest tease of Rise of Skywalker, was showing us that lightsaber and then like selling toys, and then we never got to see it in action. But I do think we've talked about some theories for the Rey movie, and I know I've said I want something maybe like the witches in the Acolyte. I want people to pop up that aren't Sith, maybe not necessarily dark side users, but are opposed to the idea of the Jedi. So something like that.
Jared Ouellette, thanks for the next one. How many High Republic novel characters are we going to see? Take out Yoda, take out Yaddle, any of the, like, there are a lot of Jedi Council members who were originally from the Phantom Menace who are still alive at that point. But yeah, outside of Ernestra Rowe, I don't think we're going to see Buryaga, even though he would have the lifespan for it. I don't think
he's happily retired at this point.
And I don't think they would want to confuse the regs by showing two Wookiee Jedi and being like, wait, which is which? So I'm not expecting Burry. And most everyone else, all the humans are probably dead. So
for the amount of times that Leslie Headland has brought up the expanded universe, I don't think she's pulling from the High Republic books at all. Like, I think they got lucky in that they needed a Mary Allen character and Vernestra was there, and they agreed to like use her in this show. But I don't think they made this show knowing, okay, we got Buryaga, we got this person and this person in these books that we can use. I just don't think Leslie Headland wants to pull too many characters in from the books. However, with Charles Soule working on as a consultant, a creative consultant, he'd be the one, I guess, to ask, like, would it make sense to bring this character in from the books to have here? Do you think he would have anyone in mind?
I don't know. Like, I agree with everything you're saying. I think that this is a lot like what happened with Saw Gerrera in Rogue One. They didn't write Rogue One and go like, and then Saw Gerrera from the Clone Wars shows up. No, they wanted a militaristic rebel leader that was kind of a foil to Mon Mothma. And then someone was like, hey, what if we just made it Saw Gerrera? He kind of fits this bill. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, that works. So they threw him in. I think Leslie Headland probably had her story. And then someone said, you know, Vernestra Rowe could kind of fit what you want here. Mm-hmm. And then Leslie agreed. So they did it. And I definitely think that like Leslie didn't come in with this idea to pitch a High Republic story. I think she had a story in mind that was set at this point in time. And then everyone was like, well, this is kind of in line with the High Republic. So can we use that aesthetic? And she was like, sounds great. Let's do it. So I don't think this is going to be super connected to the High Republic books and comics.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I think there will be fun nods and Easter eggs here or there, but it's not going to be like a continuation of the series.
For once, I do think we have a better chance at getting a mention of Darth Revan or Darth Bane in like a holocron or something, rather than canon High Republic characters from the books.
Yeah, well, Bane and Revan are canon.
Yeah, I know.
Revan has been named so many times. So fingers crossed for a holocron appearance.
But he's a woman in canon. I know that much.
That would, if you want to blow the internet up.
You know I'm here to do that.
Yep.
Ice, thanks for the next super chat. Hey, wasn't expecting you to do a live stream for this, but I was pleasantly surprised. Are trailer discussions something you're looking to do more of? I mean, when it's something we're really excited about and people are asking a lot of questions that we kind of have answers to, I think so.
When it's excited and when we can plan for it. Yesterday was really nice.
Yeah, they were like, hey, we're going to release the trailer tomorrow at this time. And we were like, oh my gosh, we can put this in the books. We can prepare for this.
We were like, we can do a reaction. I had to clear what I was going to do today, but that's fine, except that I am missing Dungeons and Dragons to be here with all of you, but I wasn't going to make it anyway with everything else I had going on.
And I got Nickelodeon documentaries to watch. So.
Yeah, we got to bring the mood back down after this. We started that last night. I was like, oh my God.
It's good though.
But yeah, if we can swing it, like this is super fun. We're a lot of lifespan questions tonight. Thanks, Scotty Heron. How long do Alcedians live? Finished Escape from Valo, and Tep Tep is a new fave of mine. Any chance she's still kicking around by the time of the Acolyte? I have no idea. That's like a pretty new species, so I don't think we've got a lifespan for them. But I would guess
the hard thing about lifespan estimates is that they're all coming from Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is most likely getting them from reference books, and reference books are like
easily changed.
Yeah, bottom of the barrel type stuff to where if they want to change it, they will. Yeah. And not feel bad about it. So you need to take all that stuff with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Thanks for another one, Jared Ouellette. Where was Plagueis during this time?
Being sneaky,
running around. I did look up when the Darth Plagueis book starts, and it starts with him killing his master, and it's 67 years before the Battle of Yavin. So he was probably a Sith Apprentice around 100 years before the Battle of Yavin in Legends. I wouldn't expect him to be a major part of this story. Maybe he is the Sith Master running around, but I am not going to get my hopes up on that.
Yeah, I feel like he wouldn't be maybe quite ready to be out in the open as like, hey, everybody, I'm a Sith. Come catch me.
And which I'm really curious to see if that's what's happening here, or if the Sith is accidentally discovered. Like, I've always thought it would be, ever since we knew this would be a mystery thriller, I've wanted a cat and mouse game where like the Sith kind of have to do something and they know it's going to make a lot of noise and get Jedi attention. And so then it's them being chased and like, we have to remain hidden. And they're just like staying one step ahead of the Jedi. I think that would be a really cool story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Plagueis is going to be in this. Maybe in a season 2 if they're going to do one. Dean the Machine, thanks for another super chat. Last shot of the series. My name, Plagueis. Grogu Plagueis. No.
And then Palpatine will kill him in his sleep, but really he just went into hiding for like 70 years and he comes back and everyone thinks he's a 50-year-old baby, but really he's very old. He's a very old Sith Lord.
Well, Grogu's not even alive at this point, right?
I'm joking.
I know, but I'm trying to do math in my head.
No, he would not be.
He was 50 or is 50 at the time of The Mandalorian. This is
100 years before the Phantom Menace.
Before. Okay. Yeah.
Always got to do the Star Wars math is so much fun when you're like standard is before the Battle of Yavin and you're like, okay, Phantom Menace was 32 years before that. This is 100 years before the Phantom Menace.
No normal person has those numbers ready to go in their brains. This is like harder than it should be to wrap your brain around. I mean, it's still hard for me to get Star Wars timeline stuff right, because it's just hard.
I remember when they first said that The Mandalorian was going to be 5 years after Endor, and then I was like, okay, what's that in BBY? And then I had to sit and do the stupid math.
He Fought a Bear says that season 2 is confirmed. What do you think season 2 is going to be about? Will it still be a mystery thriller by that point? Sorry if you already answered. No one's confirmed season 2.
I don't think season 2 has been confirmed. I think I read at some point that like writers have started working on it, and I think even that was just a rumor, but
Star Wars has not confirmed. Leslie Headland mentioned that if there was a season 2, like so and so could, they could talk about something happening, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. However, I do think it is going to get a season 2.
I think season 2 is likely. I think Lucasfilm and Leslie Headland think so as well, which is why wherever that rumor came from, I'm like, that's probably true that they're going to go ahead and start writing. But then if no one likes the Acolyte when it comes out, they'll probably have them stop writing before they go into production. But I think
let's all watch it and like it.
I think that's unlikely. I think season 2 will happen.
Yeah.
Ice, thanks for another one. Trailer was awesome. Really captured the vibe of the High Republic for me. Choreography was amazing. Finally see what you're talking about there. Yeah, we've been talking about that since Celebration. I'm so hyped and sufficiently pleased. Yeah, it's nice to actually finally have a lot of this footage for real.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been talking about that kung fu scene since Celebration.
We talked about the fight choreography a lot since then. So it's nice to have that out there. There were still a few different shots that we saw, which those shots may not even be used at this point. Like some of them they may have cut and scrapped, but I hope that they're still in there.
I was going to say the first half of today's trailer was very close to the first half of the Celebration footage. And then the second half was pretty much all new. I don't remember a ton about what we saw at Celebration that was different. I feel like there was a Zabrak villain, or it might have been Jeki, the Thelan Padawan. There was a Nemoidian somewhere in there. And there was a different...
half Thelan, half human.
Cool. I think that there was a different shot of like all the Jedi igniting their lightsabers, but I don't really remember what else there was.
I just think it's interesting that they have a half Thelan, half human character, because I think that's their way of making alien species more likely to be in live action shows, where they're like, it's not too, like, they don't have to do the full prosthetics maybe, but just a little bit.
Well, if we want to get real nerdy, a lot of Thelans are half something else. So that's just a Thelan thing.
I'm just saying what Leslie Headland said about that character. She said half human.
Charles from accounting, thanks for the next one. Dang it. Do you think we're going to see Jedi vectors at some point? The timeline makes me think not, but I'm still hopeful. I'm also hopeful. We didn't see any starfighters at all. Just, I think, two ships. One was flying and one was crashing.
Yeah, none of them looked like vectors.
No, none of them were starfighters. So I'm hopeful. I wouldn't be surprised. Like they're using the design in Young Jedi Adventures. It's also
they might have already been phasing them out at this point, which I know is sad to say, but
it's possible.
Andy's saying the crashed one had Delta 7 vibes. I think they're going more towards the ones that we'll see in the prequels.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we were seeing a transition to different kinds of ships, but I like the Vector a lot, so.
I do too. It would be cool to see one. Maybe it'll be like in Battlestar and they have one like up for commission. Is that what it's called? Like when they retire
They're
it?
going to retire it,
Yeah.
decommission it.
Decommission it. Trill Gent, thanks for another super chat. Kelnaka, bearish vow?
Maybe. So the Barash vow is something that Jedi would take to basically go and meditate on the Force. Usually if they felt like they did something wrong and they were like, I'm not vibing with the Force right now and I need to go recenter myself.
Ooh.
So I have to upload this image, but
are you talking about the flashback one where he's with the rest of them?
Yeah.
That is true.
Here.
Maybe they did something and he was like, I'm not okay with what we did.
So this shot shows Soul and Indara, and Soul's hair might just be tied back, but it looks different. He looks younger.
They're also wearing different robes.
Yeah, that could just be their mission attire. And I do want to point out that the Padawan in the back there has like the blue belt to indicate that he's a Padawan. I love that attention to detail.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, this quote, well-respected Jedi Master has some bad stuff in his history. And yeah, maybe Kelnaka's like, I gotta go, like, just take the Barash vow for a little bit.
I kind of love that. I also love the idea that everyone was trying to be friends with him because he was like the only Wookiee Jedi and he just like couldn't take it anymore.
He's like, where's Buryaga? Gunji isn't even born yet.
Yeah, Buryaga is happily retired with a family, never to be bothered again by the Jedi. Matthew Byron, thanks for the next super chat. Sorry if I'm late to this. Where's Yoda?
He's around. Just wasn't in the trailer. He's still Grand Master of the Order.
Oops. Yeah, he might be out investigating on a beach somewhere.
Just chilling. He's like, got this, you do. Relaxing I will be.
Mm-hmm. These are his wild days.
Ryan K, thanks for the next one. Cute dog. I think I say that every time I pull your picture up. Just got my first Star Wars tattoo, a Republic crest with Fight the Empire under. Does it say Fight the Empire or does it say something else underneath an Arabesh? I'm so happy with it. Do you guys have any Star Wars tattoos or any plans for one? Any plan? Have plans for any? I can read.
I have a High Republic tattoo that I got in London. And then I got this tattoo, which is like from the Death Star and A New Hope. Those are my only two that I have so far.
You have stars on your foot. That's kind of like a Star Wars tattoo. It's Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm working on a crawl all the way up my leg.
It's halfway there.
I definitely have more Star Wars tattoos planned.
I've got one that I've been talking about getting for like 2 years, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. But it's the circle with the lines through it that's on Biggs and other Rebel pilot helmets.
I wanted that one
one
too.
day. You can't have that one. That's mine.
I can't if I get it before you do.
That's mean. You're so mean.
You're afraid to commit for a tattoo. You gotta just go do it. Ice, thanks for the next super chat. The gold robes and lightsabers look incredible as well. The murder mystery setup is so interesting. I love all the alien we're getting and the variety. A Keldor, a Thelan human hybrid. Sign me up. Yeah, it's all stuff that we've been talking about wanting to see more of, and we're very excited for it.
I like this next one. Madman's Knowledge, thank you. Since Mary Allen's live long, Barriss in New Jedi Order? Yeah, maybe. Why not? Where is she?
Sure.
That's what Dave Filoni's finally going to bring her back. Dave Filoni's going to be on his deathbed, and he's going to hand out a script and be like, here's where Barriss has been. And then we'll finally get to see her 200 years after the Clone Wars.
That would be crazy. Matthew Byron with another super chat here. I wonder if Yord represents the dogma that Mace Windu adopts and represents during the prequels.
I think there's a real good chance for that. I mean, it's not just Mace, it's also like Ki-Adi-Mundi. I would say it's most of the Jedi Council in the prequels. But I can't even remember. It's Yord? Yeah. I wonder if he'll be kind of the outlier during the High Republic. That makes sense. Because they were less dogmatic, especially in the books and the comics. At this point, they might be starting to shift towards their prequel attitudes, but I like the idea that he's kind of the outlier. Like, hey, everyone, we should follow the rules.
Well, we already see we see it happen in the what is it? The Starlight comics where they decide, okay, everyone wear boring robes, everyone have boring lightsabers.
Yeah. And yeah, they kind of make a reason for why that starts to shift. And I think they probably rescind those rules. But even so, the conflict with the Nile from the books and comics is probably going to affect everything. And we'll probably see it in the Acolyte. Thanks for another one, Ice. How likely would you say it is that Vernestra has a seat on the council? Seeing her follow in her old master's footsteps would be sufficiently emotional for her fans from the books, I think. I think it's very likely that she will have a seat on the council.
Didn't she say, I thought Leslie Headland said that she was revered by the Jedi, but didn't sound like she was on the council? I don't know.
I don't think I have... Oh, there it is. The other Jedi revere her. It does say here she's much more of a high-ranking official. She doesn't say she is a part of the Jedi Council, but that kind of leads me to believe that she might be.
I don't know. She kind of gives me Qui-Gon vibes that she might not want to be part of the council. But who knows? I mean, maybe at this point in time, the council was cool.
Yeah. I could see either way, but I'm leaning towards she's on the council right now.
Back then, Oppo Rensis was still throwing his Rager barbecues, and they were just the best.
Look, Yaral Poof knows how to party. That's all. Like,
oh yeah, Oppo Rensis, he was like the hippie one, so he wouldn't be
check
having
out that
meat.
beard, yeah.
He'd be having like a little powwow. Joshua Kosaba has another super chat. I wonder if May is killing Jedi in order to get the Sith to kill them by any means. To get the Sith to kill her?
May? I don't know. They're really leading us to believe that it's May killing the Jedi. And there is one shot where it looks like she is straight up about to stab one. But part of me thinks that's all a misdirect. Just the fact that the synopses say that a former Padawan, May, has to work with her former master, Sol. If they're working together, I don't think he would work with her if she were the Jedi serial killer going around. So something's up. There's something off here. Cameron Stewart, thank you for the next one. I've not seen much discussion of this, but I'm curious who the Chancellor is.
Oops. Sorry.
And what they're like. Valorum vibes or Light of Life vibes. Probably somewhere in between.
Yeah, so I saw a lot of people saying, I wonder if they're going to show a Chancellor or much of the Republic at this time at all. I kind of hope they do, just because, like, after seeing it in Andor, I just want to see them in every time period and just see what they're up to and what it looks like.
Yeah, I they might really focus on the Jedi. I would not mind it, a little swing by the Senate or something, just to see kind of what the Jedi relationship with the Senate is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe someone there, maybe not the chancellor, but a chancellor's aide gets wind of this and they're like, "Hey, we need your assurance that this isn't a problem." And the Jedi are like, "No problem here. No Sith here." You know?
Yeah. Sith, never heard of them. Ice, thanks for the next super chat. The red saber made me jump. Me too. I'm excited at the idea of seeing Sith, but a red blade just means someone has bled a crystal, but that's not something only Sith can do. I do think it's probably Sith, though. Do you think the martial art or one of the fighting styles we see in this show could be Shan Ju, the form used by Grandmaster Pratri Veeder in Shadows of Starlight issue 3? Charles Soule apparently consulted on this series. Maybe. I doubt it'll be called that by name, but you never know. I would love it if they did. And what Shan Ju was named after a Legends character that used the Force as martial arts too. So maybe Leslie Headland knew that and did it on her own.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll name it, but it would be fun if they did, just to get that little connection. Ooh, Andrew711 has a super chat and asks, "Will we be seeing a live action Nile member?" Probably not at this point in time because we're so far ahead in the High Republic timeline and we're so close to the prequel era. But we could get mention of them. Like if the Jedi are seen discussing who this Jedi killer could be, someone could bring up like, "Oh, is it the Nile come back to give us more crap?" You know?
Yeah. I think they're probably going to mention the Nile the way they mention them in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is just like very briefly talking about old
Just like,
marauders.
yeah, like, "Oh, those pirates, we beat them a long time ago."
Yeah, and they might say the name Nile, but this is 100 years after all that, so I think the Nile are probably going to be a thing of the past at this point. Esteban Benitez, thanks for the next one. Acolyte studies old Sith, gets Sith attention, tested to be apprentice, fails. Sith kills Jedi witnesses and ends up like Darth Santa's brother. Uh, doesn't Darth Santa's brother get hacked to pieces? Or was that a different character? It's been a while since I've read the Darth Bane trilogy, but pretty
Ooh,
sure Xana kills her brother and like cuts him into tiny little pieces.
I just had a random thought. I keep going back to this character because I really want him to have more to do. What if he's a former Nile?
Oh, well, I mean, he looks pretty young to be a Nile.
But like, what if he were raised by them and
Even
or
then,
something like that? It'd be cool to have a character that was like a former Nile and is now like kind of skirting the line on whether or not they're good or bad.
yeah. And also, Esteban, I just understood your question saying that the Sith kills the Jedi and they end up like Darth Santa's brother, cut to pieces. That makes sense. Okay. Gets at the attention, tested to be apprentice and fails. Yeah, maybe. I think we're definitely going to see some Sith in here. I don't say definitely, but likely. So that would be a bummer for like if May were the acolyte the whole time trying to get Sith attention and just died at the end of season 1.
Mm.
I don't know.
If there's
It's
no
weird
Sith
that
in this show, that's going to be a huge letdown. I think there's got to be one
it's
somewhere.
it's weird that I trust May for some reason and I don't trust Soul. I don't know why, but my instincts are just
I mean, it's what Leslie Headland said. Like, this is not what you think it's going to be.
yeah. And
So
the
everything we see and read, we're like, but what if that's actually not the case? And it's
close your
totally,
eyes. Your eyes can deceive you. And I'm like, what I'm being shown is someone murdering Jedi, but I think they're deceiving me.
mm, yeah, maybe it's all an act to get the attention from a certain someone.
Mm-hmm. Maybe she's trying to actually lure the Sith. Maybe she knows the Sith are around. She's trying to get them to come out into the open so she can kill them.
Sure. Trevor Nesbitt has another super chat here. I think we'll see where the Lost 12 came from.
Lost 20?
Lost 12?
I assume they mean Lost 20, the Jedi Masters who left. That wasn't like a big group thing that happened all at once. The Lost 20 are 20 Jedi Masters who peacefully left the Order. That includes Dooku, Master Trinus from the High Republic, Radaki, who was from like a long time, thousands of years ago. So the Lost 20 isn't 20 Jedi that just decided to up and leave one day. We might see one member of the Lost 20, but I don't think it's going to be like the origin story of the Lost 20.
Yeah. Dan V900, thank you for the next super chat. I do hope that tonally it is similar to the Jedi versus Sith comic and Darth Bane trilogy. I could see the Acolyte as being more of an anthology show with each season focused on a Sith in a different era.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, she did talk a lot about how this was like going to be very serialized and each episode will be kind of like giving you a little bit more information, but season to season, interesting to think about it having a time jump and focusing on a completely different character. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So like, what if season 1 tells this mystery, this story, and then season 2 is about Darth Tenebris? Like maybe he's in the shadows, but it's like this is the master now. And then season 3 is about Darth Plagueis. And
I could see them doing that with an animated show. I think it's too risky for them to do that with a live action show.
I think they're probably going to stick with whatever cast they have. It's a very good cast. I like that idea, but yeah, something about it, especially when we get to season 6 or whatever, and now it is about Palpatine. I guess it would only be like season 4, but still. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah. If we were getting Tales of the Sith, maybe, instead of Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, maybe someday. Jeremy Skywalker, thanks for the next one. I just got here, sorry if it's been asked. Do we think the Nile problem has been solved by this time of the show? Love you guys. Yeah, I think that will have been taken care of 100 years before this show starts.
Yeah, I think so. Or there could be some stragglers that have just given up their title as Nile and they're just cool pirates that don't do bad stuff anymore.
I'm just a cool pirate who doesn't do bad stuff anymore.
I'm a baby pirate. I was just a baby.
I only see Jason Mendoza when I see him. It's going to be weird to have him talk, and it probably won't be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But if you haven't seen The Good Place, it's very funny, and he's great in it.
Andrew Brown asks, do we think Amandla Steinberg will become the Dark Lord? The Dark Lord? Ooh,
right now,
I don't
no.
think so.
Because like I said, I don't know why, but I trust her.
Yeah,
I can't give you a good reason why. It's just all gut feelings and way too much analysis and grasping at straws when looking at the trailer. But I think I think she's all right.
As much as I love powerful evil women, I feel like this is a bait and switch.
She might still be a powerful, scary woman.
Oh yeah, she's got that knife. She's not playing around.
To be evil.
She's got that high kick. She'll get you.
Ice, thanks for another one. Not sure if you noticed, but Vernestra is using the Force to open the door in her brief shot. I was like, those aren't automatic? Really, Jedi Order? They are automatic, but Vernestra still does it.
I had a brief thought where I was like, I was thinking the shot that I was watching was like Vernestra is no longer with the Order in this shot. She's like coming to warn them about something. And back in her day, they had to use the Force on the doors, and now they're automatic, and she does the thing, and everybody's like,
just playing a prank on her.
no,
Like,
no one told her.
Vern, you don't have to do that anymore.
Everything's automated now. It's super easy for us Jedi, and that just gets more and more so as we get closer to the prequels, where the Kiadi Mundi doesn't have to do anything day to day.
Oh, Kiadi. PLD, hey, what's up? And thanks for the super chat. Can we get Hondo's grandpappy? Hondo-ish watch. I saw you propose something similar in the Force Center chat.
Yeah. Always on Hondo watch. Hondo-ish watch now.
I'm still saving Hondo for The Mandalorian. It has to happen at some time. Like, he just fits that show
Skeleton Crew
too well. Skeleton Crew, yeah, Mandoverse. Skeleton Crew would be perfect.
Ahsoka season 2. I'd love to see a Hondo Ahsoka reunite. What if Hondo's the one to go save them off Peridia? Anyways, not talking about that show. Sorry. It's just too easy.
It's your turn.
Scotty Heron asks, are we feeling a little Thelan after today?
Is that a pun I'm not getting?
Maybe.
Or maybe just feeling a little Thelan?
There's a pun in there somewhere. But whatever it is, yes, I am feeling that way. It's been a long day. Thank you, Scotty.
And you love Thelans.
I do. It's true.
That's not to derail things again, but if you ever got back into Alphabet Squadron, there's the Thelan B-Wing pilot. You'd love her. She listens to punk rock and all kinds of music while she flies.
I remember her from the first book, and I can still love her from afar without continuing that series.
It's very long and very dense, but I love it.
This is an interesting one that I'm sure we won't cover for too long, but D-Train asks, any chance Disney sells Star Wars to Superior A24? I would love to see an A24 Star Wars.
Oh, me too. A24 makes amazing movies. They do not make expensive movies, and I don't think they have $4 billion lying around.
They would not want Star Wars. I'll say that much.
Honestly, you're probably right.
There.
Yeah, they're like, we're busy doing like crazy cool art house stuff.
They are re-releasing a bunch of A24 movies in theaters soon.
Ex Machina, so yeah, they do. Which has Oscar Isaac and Donald Gleason in it. They have Star Wars actors in there, so just go watch those movies.
They made like I don't know if they sold the rights to HBO Max, because a bunch of, if not all, the A24 movies are now on Max streaming. So
yeah, they have a lot of good movies.
Anyways, A24 is great. Probably not a good fit for Star Wars.
Scotty Heron, thank you for another one. Maybe Yoda is training initiates like in High Republic Adventures. Yeah, I do think Yoda would still be a Grandmaster, but they pretty much let him do whatever. Although at that point, there were 2 Grandmasters. And so maybe Pratri Veeder was like, Yoda, you can go off and have your fun with the younglings, and I will stay in the council. And that guy's dead now. So maybe Yoda has to stay at the council now.
He did pop up randomly, though, in Young Jedi Adventures. So that makes me think he's just out doing whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And he's telling the council that it's research.
Yeah, but that's basically what Scotty's saying, is that he was out and he wanted to train younglings. So I think he might be required to stay close now, just because he's the only Grandmaster. Matthew Byron, thanks for another one. If the Jedi Assassin becomes the Sith Apprentice, their days are numbered. Palpatine is coming. Well, I mean, yeah, that's true of every Sith. Like, the Apprentice is always coming, so their days are always numbered. But I still don't think, and I'll tie this into...
That's why this rule of two thing is like tricky, you know?
Mhm. I'll tie this into Cameron Andrews, who, thank you very much for the super chat, but we've covered this quite a bit today already. Will Darth Plagueis be in the series? I think that it's more accurate to say that Plagueis is coming, because I don't think Plagueis will be in this series. I'll be delighted if he is, but I'm not gonna like plant my flag in the ground and be like, this will happen.
I will not stand for this Plagueis erasure. I think he needs his big moment before we go back to Palpatine again.
We might see him, but I think that we're in like the generation before him.
Sure. He'll have his time though. Maybe not in this show, but somewhere.
I wonder if they're kind of afraid to touch the Darth Plagueis book. Probably not, but like that book is so precious to a lot of Star Wars fans, including me. I love it. So
I mean, that and a lot of the other Legends and Old Republic stuff is. So it is kind of a touchy subject.
Yeah. But Headland seems to know her Legend stuff, so I could be very wrong. It's just that I don't want to... I've seen so many people be like, I'm so glad I'm finally going to see Plagueis on screen. And I'm like, you're making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, no one said that. And no one even hinted at that. Ice, thank you for the next 2 super chats. Excited to expand witchcraft beyond the Night Sisters, and based on her clothing, I think May is probably affiliated with them. She has the same cloak as the mother, interested to learn their connection. I like the idea that May or the killer might be exacting revenge on the Jedi on their own, but her actions inadvertently attract the attention of the Sith, who consider her as a prospective apprentice. So firstly, we're thinking they have the same cloak?
I'm going to pull up the wider shot of the mother here. Hers look very... well,
it's hard to tell. It's so dark. Star Wars, be lighter. Please.
I could kind of see them being affiliated. I do think that kind of makes sense. I really like the mother's speech about this isn't about good or bad. It's about power and who's allowed to use it.
Oh, yeah. We haven't even brought that up, and we're an hour and a half plus into the stream. But that is like the tell-all message of this show.
I could see that speech being delivered to May. So yeah, after she left the Jedi, if she was in fact Soul's former Padawan, she leaves the Jedi, she needs a new home, she seeks out, hey, here's another group of Force users, I'll hang out with them.
That was my first reaction and thought process of what Amandla was, what her character was up to. I was thinking that like she went from being with the Jedi to with this group because Leslie Headland talks a lot about institutions, whether they're good or bad. They mean well, but you know, there's room for them to be corrupted. It would be interesting to see a character go from the Jedi, one institution, to her and these witches to another institution, and like just to see someone have to grapple with how different those are, and maybe she ends up saying no to all of it, and she's like, the Jedi are bad, you guys are bad,
y'all suck.
It's all bad. But I had that thought of like, I think maybe Amandla's character is working with them.
I think that makes some sense.
Because they need a connection to the story that isn't just they're around and they look cool.
And they just run into them. But yeah, a personal connection. Trevor Nesbitt, thank you for the next question. We see a Keldor from behind. Is it Plo Koon? It could be.
We'll get Brian Ward to line up the ears and, and then we'll know for sure. He did that for Thrawn, the back of Thrawn's head, before we knew for sure that it was
Lars Mikkelsen.
Lars Mikkelsen. He lined up Lars's ears, and then it was like a sure thing.
Yep. Little sleuth. Sure. I'll go with yes.
I
Just
think that
because,
would be
like,
cool. And that could be like whatever, I forget what Dave's new title is at Lucasfilm.
oh, I don't remember either.
If
Like
he was
VP of,
like,
or
I'll say yes to this show if you put Plo Koon in
is he
it.
chief creative officer, maybe? But yeah, like, I feel like Keldor, there's such a striking look that anyone who sees a Keldor is probably going to be like, oh, it's that guy from the prequels. So
Yeah.
I think there's
Especially in
probably
a
a pretty
brown
good
robe.
chance.
That
I think
definitely
there's
looks
a
like
good
him.
chance that's Plo Koon. Oops.
Ryan Murtaugh, thank you for the next super chat. How much Yoda do you think will be / want to see in the show? Talking, or we hoping for some younger Yoda action? I think he'll be in one episode, maybe more. But I think if they go visit the council, it makes sense that he would be there. And if he's not there, maybe in a different episode they'll show what he's up to.
I like the idea that we get a scene with the whole council, and there is Yoda, Terra Sanube, Aporensis, Yarl Poof, Yaddle, people who would be around still, and they're like, hey, there's a bunch of Jedi murders, go check it out. And they give them the mission, and that's our scene with a bunch of cameos in it. And
I
that's
want to
it.
see Yaddle talk like normal, like she does in the audiobooks and
And
stuff.
keep giving Yoda the side eye.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
She's like, "Are you still on that business? Why are you talking like that?"
I did look up Dave Filoni is chief creative officer at Lucasfilm. So, and someone asked, was he consulted on this? He has said he consults on everything. So no matter what the project is, like, he looks at it. It doesn't mean he demands anything happen, but
except Plo Koon being in it.
yeah, he makes sure Plo Koon is in every single project.
If Ahsoka can't be in it, Plo Koon has to be in it.
Hey, what's up, Kelly?
Hi, Kelly.
Oppo and Jarl are great in the Living Force. So I'll do a little tease for, I just recorded an interview with John Jackson Miller, and I talked about Jarl Poof in it with him, and he talked about the robot chicken sketch, and I was like, I can't believe you watched that. And like, he wanted to go and gather as much information about all the Jedi counselors that he could, and he brought that up, and I was like, I love you.
You're my new hero, I think. Hilo agrees.
Hilo has a lot to say about Jarl Poof.
Oh my gosh.
Lord Hosk, thank you for the next one. Based on the trailer, does Vernestra like turtles? Everyone likes turtles, and you don't need a trailer to tell me that. It's just clear.
That's just a known fact. Everyone knows that and agrees with it. Oil Turner, May could be Indara's Padawan, and Saul could be the bad one. Yeah, we don't know who's
the
who.
Padawan.
Yeah. It's the descriptions of the basic story is all there, and then we've gotten a lot of new character names and stuff, but we don't really know who's playing which role yet.
Is Kelly mad that I took her job?
Because you said Padawan. Look out.
We didn't talk about Jecki yet, but I really like these pictures are dark, but the Thielen Padawan, she is described as Soul's current Padawan. So I like the idea that there could be I don't know, some conflict between her and May if they're all working together all of a sudden. That like the old Padawan, the new Padawan, they probably wouldn't get along very well.
Especially if they're hanging out with the rule follower guy.
Yeah.
He is I can't wait for him. He's gonna be like a love-hate character for me, I think.
Well, he was in both seasons of Russian Doll. He was really good in that. He's probably the character I'm most excited to see so far out of this.
Oh, you know what? He's the guy that I was getting confused with the elf from Rings of Power. Remember when I
Oh,
said
yeah.
remember when I said the Rings of Power elf guy was in this? That is not the same person. I was
No.
getting my people mixed up.
But that guy does play a Twi'lek in The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So he's in Star Wars, but
Yeah.
wrong Star Wars. Ice has 2 more super chats here. So far, my only concern is I hope the Jedi are handled with care. There seems to be a rush to vilify them at every turn. Star Wars really needs to remind people they're flawed, but they are still the good guys. Too many see Order 66 as they deserved it. Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
No.
I'm not opposed to challenging them, but it's well-worn territory, and personally, I want something different and new. In my opinion, it's time to humanize the Jedi. Well, I think so far Leslie Headland is doing a good job at saying the Jedi are an institution. They're not necessarily good or bad. They're kind of misguided right now, and they will continue to do that into the prequels.
Yeah.
I think the Jedi will be handled with care. I think this is an interesting look at the slow process of what happens to them and what we see happen in the prequel trilogy.
I'm very happy with how they're being displayed right now. I don't think they're being vilified. I think anyone who would say that the Jedi deserved Order 66 is way off base. I think if you look at Star Wars and start at all to think that the Jedi are the bad guys or as bad as the Sith or anything like that, you're completely incorrect. However, as someone who grew up very religious, I have a lot of like connections with the institution of religion and how it can corrupt good intentioned people. And I mean, that's kind of the point of this story, as Leslie Headland has said, is that the Sith were able to sneak in under their noses. So what went wrong? How did that happen? So this is going to point out flaws of the Jedi, but I don't for a second think she's going to be like, look how terrible all the Jedi are. Like they're still the warriors of the light side.
Well, I forget which video it was that you mentioned, or you were comparing. If the Jedi find out that the Sith are around and they keep that to themselves and they cover it, they try to cover it up.
Yep.
It's like the church
Yep.
finding out about some really bad behavior from members of the church and then just covering it up.
Not even members, leaders of the church.
Leaders of the church, yeah, right? And then
members
covering
and
it up
leaders,
to avoid scandal, to avoid making them look bad.
Yeah, like, oh, this is the worst person in the world. Let's just move him to a different church. Like, just it didn't happen. Just move them. Like, that
People
happens
do that
all the time.
with leaders in the church. They just tell them to go to a different city. If something happens, they're just like, it's fine. Just go over there.
Yeah, and I don't think the Jedi are going to be presented even that poorly, but the idea that the Jedi Order as an institution has power and they are scared to lose that power. I think Palpatine was right about that. That everyone who gets power, like it corrupts you. It makes you scared to lose it. And if you run into a nameless creature that can petrify you to death, if you run into a Sith that you were supposed to have defeated long ago, like that's something that you might just want to be like, let's bury this. So I really like that idea. If it doesn't happen, if it's a different story, that's fine. But I like that idea a lot right now.
It's an idea. I don't want to harp on this too much, but I think Leslie Headland specifically is a good person to explore this because of some stuff in her past.
Yep.
And that's all I'll say.
That's like, just like Tony Gilroy came into Andor with a vision, just like George Lucas came into Star Wars, the original and prequel trilogies, with a vision of like, this is what I want to use Star Wars to say. Like, I'm psyched that Leslie Headland seems to have a vision, and
Yeah.
I think that's good.
She's said in interviews and stuff that she like went to Lucasfilm with a very clear idea of what she wanted to do, and Kathleen Kennedy was like, I love it, let's do it. So
on the lighter side, thanks Trevor Nesbitt, over under of a Zepho reference.
Ooh.
5%. I think chances are low on that one.
Yeah, I do love the idea of the Zepho. I don't know if and when we'll ever get a mention of them, but I don't think this would be the place for it.
I mean, I'll always welcome references to the Star Wars Jedi games, but yeah, I don't know how or why it would happen, but who knows?
Ice did add, all that said, Leslie Headland has my faith. Hearing to talk about her experiences with Star Wars at Star Wars Celebration really sold me, so I am excited to see what she does. I am too. Like, finding out her headspace, the fact that, I mean, she's close to our age. She grew up with the special editions. She is a EU fan. She seems to know Star Wars really well, but also had the genius idea to have at least one of the writers working on this show that hasn't seen Star Wars, because they were already a great writer, and that's why she chose them. But she was like, I wanted a fresh look, a fresh opinion about what this show might need. And I think that's a really smart idea when you have a bunch of writers kind of collaborating together.
I also agree with that, especially when the showrunner is coming from a place of like deep rooted fandom.
Yeah.
You
Why
need
not
someone to
have the
kind of
exact opposite of that?
you need someone to kind of be the rope to your kite, like keep me a little grounded here. Whereas like Tony Gilroy is someone who said, I never really watched Star Wars, but he came in for Rogue One. He worked on Andor, and I think some of his writers were more into like, oh yeah, I grew up with Star Wars. So just finding that balance in the writer's room.
Right.
But we've got one more from Ice here. Thanks so much. Just clarifying, I was referring to fans, not creators, in my earlier statement. Sorry if it got heavy. That wasn't my intention. That wasn't your fault. We did that.
I mean, yeah, fans kind of run the gambit on all this stuff, so.
But yeah, like we made the choice to go heavier. Myriad Media Musings. Thanks for. We'll start wrapping up here. But this last question: what do you think is the most obscure EU thing Headland can bring into the show?
Hut Jedi, or a Jedi droid, Force sensitive droid. No, Hut Jedi.
Even Legends did that.
No, well, wasn't Skippy the droid kind of?
Oh, Skippy the droid. Yeah. Even that
sensitive?
wasn't like that wasn't even Legends canon.
Hut Jedi. I'm sticking to it. We got all those alien species. We got all those Jedi. Sneak one in there.
Sure. Like my gauge has been completely thrown off because I ask anyone I interview, I ask who's your favorite background character, and I asked John Jackson Miller, and he gave me the most deep cut answer I've ever heard for that question, and I loved it. My mouth was open the whole time. It was such a good answer. So now I'm like, what even is obscure anymore? So I'm expecting her to bring in something not so deep cut, but probably more well known. Like I'm not going to get my hopes up, but I really do want some
That's
Sith
not what they
cameos.
asked.
I know, but
They asked what's something super deep cut. The
uh
most obscure EU thing you can think of off the top of your head.
Waru. Let's go with that thing from the Crystal Star. It was like a blob entity.
Okay, we got that in High Republic. We got a blob Jedi.
No, this is different. Like
Oh.
Orbelin is great, but this is different and weirder.
All right.
But I hope she doesn't bring Waru into it.
And then on those lines, we'll go with Scotty Heron's super chat here. Most random, obscure Cobb Vanth type High Republic character you think we might reasonably see? Orbelin. Why not?
Yeah, sure. He's probably alive. Any alien in Star Wars apparently lives forever now. So
The blob that is just encased in some kind of suit, or is not sometimes.
right now he's naked.
He's
right?
not. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
just
free.
Oh, he's free. That means that he was like not free before.
I'll go with Nubs. If Nubs is in this, I will lose my mind. Of course,
Getting a lot of
people are
votes
throwing a lot of
for
geodes
a
out.
lot of votes for Geode. That was I brought him up at the very start of the stream as my super like random pick for a High Republic character to show up.
I do think if there is a rock looking being and they actually point it out and it's Geode, if Geode gets some solid, even a couple seconds of screen time, that would be amazing.
Ooh, Kelly said maybe a Lore Santeca or a Graph. Those would make sense.
A Graph especially, like they dress so flashy. That would be fun just to see their wardrobe. Xylan Graph is
a Santeca, not a Lore Santeca. A very young Lore Santeca appears.
But yeah, Geode is probably the one that I would prefer Geode to Nubs. But Nubs is one that, like, if you just saw a blue, tall, furry man walking around in the background, that'd be enough.
Here's one that I thought of: a Bothan.
She did say that she was going to canonize a
species
that hasn't appeared in Star Wars yet from Legends. Could be the Bothans.
And I'll be honest, I don't know that much about Legends, but that was my first thought. It was like, maybe we'll finally see a canon Bothan.
It's finally time.
All those are good guesses, though.
We will see in less than 3 months. But we need to wrap up because we've been going for 2 hours. I thought this was going to be a short stream, but we need to go get some dinner.
No such thing.
I mean, I should have known. People are excited.
This
I'm excited.
Probably won't be the only trailer we get. It didn't say it was a teaser, but it was not a full-length trailer, I don't think. So I think we'll get another trailer with maybe a little bit more context, some more shots in it at some point.
With 2.5 months to go, I think we're due for at least one more trailer.
Also,
probably a handful of like TV spots and stuff.
We're getting a special look.
Oh yeah.
At the end, I think, of the showing of the Phantom Menace that's coming back around for May the 4th this year.
It's at the end. That's interesting.
I think I read that. I could be wrong. But if you're going to see the re-release of the Phantom Menace coming like around May 4th or May 3rd, I think there's supposed to be like a special look at the Acolyte attached to that. So I'm excited for that.
Cool. Well, Lord Hosk, you're no longer keeping us from dinner. We're going to go cook right now. We will be back tomorrow for the Bad Batch for our normal stream for episode 8. So yeah,
our stream's gonna be early tomorrow.
Yeah, we have something to do in the evening, so we're gonna probably stream at like 4 p.m. Eastern.
I'll tweet about that in the morning to remind everybody.
Cool. But I'm going to wrap up because I'm starving.
Let's go get some dinner. It's 9 o'clock.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.